Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the MCAT. When you start your really designated study time. So, that for me, I think I did about 3 months. I took it at the end of the summer after my junior year. So, I started studying pretty much right after school was out. And I started studying a little bit, a little review ahead of time. But then I took the Berkeley review course up at UC Berkeley. Uh, and I think they do online courses and everything, and they have their own books. And uh, I really enjoyed it. There's people, like I've said, on YouTube that know a lot more about all these different courses. The one thing that I would absolutely say was excellent about the Berkeley Review was their book on the verbal reasoning section. I don't know what it's called at this point. It was called Cars or something, but it the reason that it's so good is because it's so challenging. The passages, oh, you'll fail the passage. The first few times you do them, you'll just be getting probably destroyed by the practice passages and the questions, which is, believe me, it is the best thing that you can do to challenge yourself beyond the level of the MCAT, so that when you take the actual exam, you show up on test day and you go, wow, that didn't seem that bad. And so that definitely didn't feel like that for me on all sections, but the English section it did because of the level of difficulty of those Berkeley Review passages. There's uh, a few regrets that I have about how I approached the exam, and I think one of the things that we don't that people just don't talk about enough. They'll talk about like study plans and all that, but there's kind of a mindset shift that you have to become okay with, and that is that the MCAT isn't. It's not a test that you just go in and you get like a 95% on. It's not like your regular class tests that you might have. Not I mean, getting 95% on those tests is excellent, but you're not going to be getting those scores in general on MCAT practice passages. It's too difficult. The questions are geared to trip you up, and it, you'll be getting it. I was getting consistently below 50% at the start when I was starting to prep for the MCAT. So what you have to just learn to do is not to be discouraged when you bomb a practice passage. It's a learning experience. It's yes, the cliche thing about failing hundreds of times until you are successful, but that's the truth. You just think of it like a game. It's like it's kind of you're competing against yourself, and you just kind of have to accept that it's going to be difficult for a while, but that eventually you will learn how to answer these questions. If you sit there and you end up doing 2,000 practice questions before the exam starts. Believe me, when you show up on the exam, even if none of that material was material that shows up on your exam, you're going to have a big leg up because you've just seen these passages before. You know the ways they're trying to trick you. It's not something that you'd be the smartest person in the world, just in terms of having factual knowledge, and then you walk in on that exam and you cannot answer these questions because the time alone it's a very fast paced exam. You have to be able to absorb the info from the passage very quickly and analyze that and apply it to your questions. So um, what you have to be okay with is failing. You have to be okay with failing those practice passages, really pushing yourself, and eventually you'll find success in that. It took a while. I I didn't really learn to love that until maybe towards the end when I started to actually see success. But I wish I could have. I wish I was enjoying it more even when I was failing, because at that time I was learning a lot. You go and you finish a practice passage, you get, whatever, 3, 4 out of 7, and then you go and you look over each question. They have an explanation for what the correct answer is. So even the ones that you get correct, you go and you read it because maybe you did, maybe you didn't know exactly why you got that answer. And when you do this over and over again, you start to see what the tricks are, and then you start just over time. You eventually start doing a little better. I mean, that's the only way you could progress after doing a lot of practice passages. Sometimes you'll dip back down. I mean, there was right up until the exam, I bombed the occasional passage, but In general, your scores are going to go up, and just look for that trend and get excited about that trend, because it really feels good. I remember I was like, I felt smart going into the exam. It sounds really weird, but that was really exciting because I felt like I was kind of learning to master the exam format uh, before the exam. So yeah, continue to challenge yourself and be okay with failing on those practice exams. And just learn to enjoy. It's like you're competing against yourself every day. It doesn't matter what other people are getting on those practice passages. It just matters that you are learning from your mistakes. Yeah, as cliche as all that sounds, I think that is really the key to being successful on the exam. It's not about being able to memorize everything. Just do a lot of practice passages, and you'll get there. So that's about all I have to say. And next time I'm going to talk about the days leading up to the MCAT. All right, I'll see you next time.